So Roanna here left ESMS in 2015 and has been studying product design engineering at the University of Glasgow and the Glasgow School of Art. Roanna's graduating this summer and is about to embark on her first role in a Norwegian firm. During the course of her studies, Roanna worked hard to create opportunities to expand her experience beyond that of the classroom and spent time on a variety of projects, from being selected to construct and install a wind turbine to generate electricity in a remote town in Peru, to interning in product design at Mitsubishi in Japan. We're going to be talking to Roanna today about some of these amazing opportunities and her plans for the future. So welcome, Roanna.
Hello.
Thanks ever so much for your time today. So I'll start off with some simple questions about your university. So what motivated you to consider product design for your further studies and career? Is there something about this discipline that particularly interests you?
So my first exposure to product design was at school, and I think MES in particular has a very strong product design department. And I just remember the first time I did it there, I just really enjoyed it, and it was probably the subject that I most look forward to going to. And also my teacher, Mr. Bowen, he was extremely supportive throughout my whole product design time at MES. So yeah, it was really nice having him as a teacher, and that kind of got me into thinking that I wanted to pursue a kind of career in product design. But I also really enjoyed maths at school, so I wanted to integrate some kind of maybe mathematical or engineering aspect to the degree. And when I heard that the degree product design engineering exists, which is basically a mix between the design of physical products and mechanical engineering, I instantly knew that that was the kind of degree that I wanted to pursue. So there's not actually many places in the UK that do that particular degree. I think it's just like Loughborough, the University of Glasgow and Strathclyde. There's maybe some new ones now, but that was all at the time. So I ended up getting a place at Glasgow and the Glasgow School of Art. So yeah, it wasn't very difficult for me deciding what I wanted to do because I'd always been so drawn to it at school. So yeah, that got me to Glasgow and my degree.
And as part of your degree, you studied for a year in Norway. How did that come about?
So in my fourth year of university, two students from my class got the opportunity to go to Norway as an Erasmus year. We weren't actually given any choice about where we could go because our degree is so specific. And that was the only university that had a similar format in that they strongly associated design with engineering. So I luckily got the opportunity to go there, and Norway's wasn't the kind of place that I would usually pick to go, because I quite like the sun, so I probably would have chosen somewhere like Australia or New Zealand. But I'm so glad that that choice had kind of been made for us because I absolutely loved Norway, and I loved all the opportunities that I got there, and it's given me a really strong drive to go back as well. So yeah.
And did you have to learn some of the language, or was the course taught in English?
So at the beginning of the first semester, a lot of the exchange students got the opportunity to apply for a summer language course. So that was like an intensive 3 weeks of language training, and then at the weekends and the evenings we did like outdoor activities and stuff. So that was a really good kind of introduction to the language and the culture before we actually started at the university. And it was really good having that kind of background knowledge, because Norwegians are very good at speaking English in general, so it isn't actually difficult getting around if you speak English, but I feel like you can integrate much more easily when you actually know their language and more about their culture. So yeah, that was really useful, having a bit of the language training before starting.
And how do you feel the experience enhanced your degree?
I think that well, when I got there, I actually had the opportunity for the first time in my whole degree to pick the subjects that I wanted to study. Because the degree at Glasgow is very predefined, we don't get a lot of choices. But when I was in Norway, I got to pick all the subjects that interested me, and it really made me realize that I'm very inclined towards design and like people and society and the environment. So yeah, I definitely learned more about the kind of career and topics of design that particularly interested me. And also getting a taste of like another work culture as well. I found that my classmates in Norway were just so inclusive and helpful, and like they are at Glasgow as well, but there was just something so nice about the work culture in Norway, and the outdoorsy culture as well. So yeah, I learned a lot about kind of what I wanted from my career from going there as well.
Okay. While studying, you had some amazing opportunities to travel and learn, and one of the things you did was volunteering with WindAid to build a wind turbine. Tell me a bit more about that. I'm really curious about this.
Yeah, so it was, I think it was after my second year at university. I had been reflecting on the summer after my first year, and I was thinking like, I didn't really do much, and I'm very much the kind of person that always likes to be doing things, and I like traveling and exploring, and I would say I'm very like kind of curious. And I just got a random idea that was like, I really want to like go abroad, like somewhere quite far away, and do some kind of voluntary work. And for some reason, I just typed into Google like build a wind turbine, because I wanted something that was like relevant to my degree as well, like with the mechanical engineering. So I typed into Google build a wind turbine, Argentina or something, and then the WindAid came up, but it's in Peru. So I had a look on the website, and then I was just like, this looks interesting. So I just applied, and then I like messaged my family later, and I was like, yeah, just like applied for this. It's very random because I'd never done anything like that before. And then I heard back a few weeks later, and they offered me a place. So yeah, it was probably like the biggest thing that I'd done solo by myself before. But I'm so glad I did it, because it definitely gave me a lot of confidence to travel abroad and to integrate with a new community and work with people from all over the world. And yeah, I hadn't been to South America before either, and it was just so interesting learning about the culture there, and also the practical experience of actually building the wind turbine as well. I definitely learned that I like making physical things with my hands. When I was younger, I used to always be making little things with my hands, and like, yeah, I'd obviously had a break from that for a bit, and going back to WindAid in Peru and like building the wind turbine, it made me really realize that I do like doing that kind of thing. So the engineering aspect of my degree, I was really able to take learnings from that experience, and like specifically manufacturing learnings as well. And so we basically we built the wind turbine, and then we went to the small village in the Andes Mountains to install the wind turbine. And we met the community that we were installing it in, and they hadn't had light or anything like ever. Like they were just, I'd never been in such like a rural, poor community. And yeah, it was very like humbling, and it made me very like grateful for what we have across here. And yeah, it was a very rewarding experience, I think. And yeah, I really have very fond memories. So anyone who's thinking about applying for some kind of voluntary work abroad, I would really recommend it.
And tell us about your favourite experience whilst you were studying, and what you felt you gained from it, and how you think that'll help you in the future.
I would say my favorite experience is definitely Norway. Um, I, yeah, I guess I gained, I gained knowledge in the kind of topics that I want to study in the future, or the topics I want to work in. I also gained knowledge about like where I kind of see myself working as well. As soon as I got to Norway and experienced their culture, I absolutely fell in love with it. And it sounds a little bit weird, but I kind of felt like I was home there. Like there were so many people that were interested in the same kind of things that I was interested in, like really outdoorsy things that I didn't really know that I was interested in until I did it. And they were just like so inclusive and really outgoing, and yeah, it's given me a real drive to go back there. And also like the Nordic focus on sustainability as well. Like I would say I'm very environmentally conscious, and I want to work somewhere where they have the same values as me. So yeah, I'm really excited to go back and learn a bit more about that.
Now, you also interned at Mitsubishi in Japan. Can you tell us a bit about the work culture there, and how you felt living in such a different culture as well to Western Europe?
Yeah, so I hadn't actually been to Japan before, but Japanese design and culture had always really interested me. So I was really excited to get that opportunity. Um, the work culture there is very different to like going from, because I went from Norway to Japan, and they're like polar opposite. In Norway, they're a bit more relaxed, and they have more of a work-life balance. Whereas in Japan, they are very hardworking, which is a very good trait. But I would like normally maybe finish at 5, and a lot of my colleagues would stay on late into the evening and work. Um, so yeah, it was really interesting to see like the differences in culture there. Um, and yeah, in general, it was just like really interesting learning about the way of life there, and yeah.
So you also secured an internship with Apple in California, and this role spanned kind of pre and during the pandemic. I'd love to know a little bit more about working with Apple, how you gained the opportunity and the work culture there.
Yeah, so one of the managers that I was working for in Apple actually did the same course as me in product design engineering at the University of Glasgow and the Glasgow School of Art. And because the product design engineering degree has a very strong focus on mechanical engineering as well as design and the needs of users, that was like the degree, and those that study that was quite desirable for Apple because they have a very strong user focus. And so the manager at Apple, who did the same degree as me, approached the department and asked if anyone wanted to apply. And I remember getting that email, and I just kind of dismissed it because I thought like, I would never get that. I'm There's no point in me even trying. And it had been a few weeks, and we had also got a email about applying for the Mitsubishi one in Japan as well. And I also didn't think that I would ever get that either. So I just ignored them. And then the night before the deadline for the application for the internships, my tutor emailed me directly and was like, have you thought about applying for either of these? I think you should. And I was kind of taken aback because I was like, why would she like email me individually? Like it's just a bit like, yeah, I didn't think I was like anything special, and I didn't think that I would ever even have a chance of like getting something like that. But then like, yeah, receiving that from her, it made me think like, oh, maybe I should just try it and see what happens. Like she obviously thinks it's worth a bit of time. So I ended up staying up really late to get my portfolio and everything together, and I sent it off like just before the deadline. And then a few weeks later I heard back from both of them like individually, and yeah, I just remember being so shocked. And the interview process for Apple was very, very rigorous. And each stage I was like, I'm not going to get to the next stage. I'm not going to get to the next stage. And I still don't know how I managed, but yeah, it gave me a little bit more confidence in that if I just try something, then you never know what might happen. So yeah.
Okay. And how did the company adapt the role during the pandemic to ensure you and they gained the most from the experience?
So I did the first 4 months in California pre-pandemic. So that was like really interesting working in the office and seeing the like, fast pace that they work at and experiencing all of that. And then when the pandemic hit, it was just so crazy. Like, yeah, it just felt so weird at such a big company because even those that were in charge were like, I have no idea what's going on, but they were trying to like, stay calm and like help everyone continue their job. And I was I was very lucky in that I said that I would feel most comfortable if I actually went back to Scotland. So yeah, I was really grateful that they managed to give me the opportunity to go back to Scotland and to work from home remotely there. So there was a slight change in the time zones and stuff, but we managed to make it work. And yeah, there wasn't the same kind of fast prototyping experience that we had in the office. So we had to kind of adapt and make things remotely and time when people would go into the office and stuff, make it all COVID friendly. So that was a real challenge. But in general, I'm still amazed at how well everyone managed to carry on their job. So yeah, it was really good.
And you're moving to Norway soon to start your first graduate role there. I'm aware you've been learning Norwegian to prepare yourself for this. What will you be doing when you start your role? What's your role involve?
So I will be working as a service/UX designer. So a service designer is basically someone who uses design methodology to design a particular service that someone might use. So for example, your experience going into the hospital and all of the different touch points that you might have with that experience and the interaction between yourself and the hospital, or for example, an experience with your bank. So it could, the physical product that's being designed, or the end product that's being designed could be a digital interface. So it could be like a website or a landing page for a bank, or it could be a physical product like a leaflet from the hospital. So it's service design is very broad, but that's kind of what I learned from when I went to Norway. Like design is changing quite a lot now, moving away from the kind of tangible industrial product design to more kind of digital experiences and yeah, interactions between people and technology and services. So yeah, I'm really excited to learn more about that. And yeah, I'll have more experience once I start my job, but yeah, I'm looking forward to that.
And we'll have to have a catch up with you in a year to learn a little bit more about it.
Yeah.
Have you found learning Norwegian challenging, or are you confident you'll settle into it quickly once you become established there?
So yeah, the company that I'm working for, the company language is Norwegian. So I've been a little bit apprehensive about joining because I will be the only non-fluent Norwegian speaking designer. So that's like really motivated me to advance my skills in Norwegian, because prior to the job offer, my language skills were quite basic. So I've been doing like an intensive language course over the summer prior to me starting. And yeah, I was worried that it was going to seem like a bit of a chore because I've just like finished university and I'm not having a break between starting work. But it's just night classes and I'm actually really enjoying it. I remember quite liking languages at school, but it was never something that I pursued. But I really am enjoying learning Norwegian, and you learn more about the culture as well. And I think it will definitely help me with when I start my job as well, like just being in the company environment where they're speaking Norwegian. If I hadn't started to learn more, I think I would feel as though I'd been kind of thrown into the deep end a bit. So yeah, in all, I'm enjoying learning it. So.
And one final question for you. Is there anything you wish you had learnt at school that would have helped you better through university?
Yeah, this is an interesting question. I think that at school I didn't have a lot of confidence, and I still think now, like, I don't have a ton of confidence, but little things that have kind of happened over the years, like, for example, when my tutor emailed me and suggested me applying for those internships, have given me a little bit more confidence to just kind of go for it and take any opportunity that comes. I know it sounds a little bit cliche, but like yeah, after having experienced it, it really makes me believe it. So yeah, I wish I maybe had a bit more confidence, but maybe that is something that comes as you gain more experience. So yeah, that's probably the standout thing.
Okay. Well, thank you ever so much for your time this morning, Roanna. It's very much appreciated, and wishing you all the best when you start your new role.
Oh, no problem. Thank you so much for having me.